Oh my gosh, we just read 4.5 hours worth of Blake Lively's lawsuit, and we're still not done. But we wanted to recap where we stand and what Kim and I thought. Let's do it. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore. Yeah, we sat here for, it's going to be 5 hours, this stream about.
Yep.
And I'm going to put the full stream down, the pinned comment, the description. We're going to give you another free look at what members on Patreon typically get, which is our replays. But we're on, what is today? Wednesday? It's an early day. We don't typically go live these days. So I'm going to give you a special, because I want you guys to be able to read it all with us. If you can make it through, I'll be impressed. Everybody who's made it through, tell me in the chat. What we're going to do is give a recap up to page 91 where we stopped, and give you sort of the summary of some things we noticed. If you want to watch the full thing, though, you can go down, but check out the comments. We'll have the unlisted one there in a little bit, and you'll be able to watch it. Give us a little bit of processing times, et cetera. It might still be working, but we'll give it to you. Kim, overall, look, we've read a lot of this. I have seen nothing in here new. I've seen so many sort of ways Blake's trying to Jedi mind trick everybody and have her cake and eat it too, of, well, why didn't he complain? He liked the movie. He let everything, he exploited me and my star power to do the movie. It had no problem in the junkets saying that he was proud of it. She says all that, but if he had complained, she'd be saying he's retaliating then. There's so much back and forth where she wants to sort of call him out, but then if he were to say anything, he's wrong. And then she brings in so many cast members and she alludes to them like as if there's a dozen, but it reads to me like there's clearly two, is the way I sort of got it. A couple other maybe crew members and things who didn't love all the hugginess on set, which is a valid complaint, but worth where we're at. All of it just feels like a nothing burger. It really feels like she's tripling down on accusations that really don't have much to them. I said it later in the stream, but I feel like as I was reading it, it feels like Justin Baldoni maybe at worst was like a Michael Scott in The Office, like bumbling around set, maybe a little bit sort of out of touch or more lovey-dovey than anyone was appropriate, and maybe said some things inappropriate, but at the end of the day, never with ill intention, but she's now held such a damn him type of moment that it's gotten to this ridiculous level of why are we here? What is your overall takeaway as we've addressed most of this complaint so far?
My overall takeaway right now is that I think discovery and depositions are going to be absolutely critical, because both of these complaints involve so many people, and especially now with Blake bringing in other cast members and things like that, are unfortunately basically what we're hearing right now with anything new in this complaint is they'll testify to this. Trust me, bro. That there isn't anything super evidence-based at this point that we are seeing. Now, does that mean that Blake is lying? No. But what it does mean is that so much of what she is saying here, I think, is going to be dependent on these other people testifying. And that's a lot. And a bit, I am a bit concerned about that, of how that's going to hold up in court. But again, with these depositions and other types of information, I guess we will see how in-depth things get. But it is a lot of information that has been put here, and it does feel hollow at points compared to what we've seen previously when it comes to evidence being submitted.
Yeah, they keep referencing another female cast member. It's like they kind of use the same two over and over again and then make it seem like there's multiples. It's a clever way and sort of over making it sound like there's so many. And they all just mentioned being uncomfortable. No one really, she doesn't even get into the details of it. And what's weird is it almost feels like she's forcing these cast members to come forward and share their thoughts. I want to share Justin's response to it as well, because Brian Friedman has said exactly before, we were saying the same thing before he even came forward. His statement here, she said he found the whole thing underwhelming when it comes to any new facts or anything damning about his client. Friedman says the suit is filled with unsubstantiated hearsay of unnamed persons who are clearly no longer willing to come forward or publicly support her claims. Ouch, but true. It's truthful. If this guy's so bad, why wouldn't these people want to stand up with Blake Lively, the powerful A-lister, with everybody else and condemn him? It sounds like there's a lot more he said, she said, and levels of this that they don't want to be involved in this. They want to be excluded from this narrative, Blake, and you're forcing them to be. because you need to save face because you got called out for some of your own bad behavior. Why didn't you guys just wipe your hands of it and move on? Friedman agrees and goes on. He adds that his clients, Baldoni, his publicists, etc., have been transparent in providing receipts, real-time documents, video, showing a completely different story than what has been manipulated and cherry-picked to the media. Friedman says, going to the SNL 50 event last weekend, our clients have taken this matter and these issues very seriously, notwithstanding the jokes made publicly by the plaintiff and her husband. Ouch again, but well said, right? And so, look, Blake's new doc says there's 2 other women who were uncomfortable with the behavior reported at the to a Sony exec, but those 2 women, unnamed at this point, are willing to share documents and testify in court. He doesn't seem a bit less worried. Since documents do not lie, and people do, the upcoming depositions of those who initially supported Miss Lively's false claims and those who are witnesses to her own behavior will be enlightening. What is truly uncomfortable here is Miss Lively's lack of actual evidence. And I gotta say, he's right. There's nothing in this that is a bombshell or revealing. If anything, the more and more I reveal, I see things where I'm like, Blake, that doesn't help you at all. I want to focus on this little text we just noticed near the end where she's writing the Sony executive. Thank you for your note. I appreciate it. This was a horrifying shoot. The only way for me to make peace with it was that the work and the success of the film and everyone rallied behind it at the end. And I'm so grateful for everyone's hard work, yours included. This is her hijacking the film and making Sony use her cut. She refused to do publicity unless they took her cut. But now she's playing nice to Sony. Thanks for having my back and doing all. I couldn't be happier with how it all turned out. The film and the reception. Honestly, that does help both Justin and Blake. The film was a success. So everyone's like, thank God, let's all move on. I was sitting here today thinking about the first call. Thank you for reaching out to Warren and bringing me into the film. I wouldn't have done it had I known what it would have been like and what a loss that would have been in the long run. You know what they say, what doesn't kill you makes you $50 million opening. So I read that, I'm like, well, it sounds like she doesn't regret it now because it was a hit and it was worth it. There's a lot of these moments, Kim. I don't know if you felt that way, but it feels to me like Blake's trying to put things out to damn Justin the team, but it almost backfires and reveals that she doesn't really have a grip on reality. Did you get that sense?
There were definitely moments that I was like, that's an interesting perspective to have. And like that email, again, a lot of it is her showing her own communications with other people and what she has said, her interpretation of events. I would be interested to know what Sony said back to her in that regard. Because we see also later on too, there is a letter that she, or an email she wrote to one of the screenwriters, I believe, in reference to what she said on the red carpet about Ryan writing the rooftop scene and apologizing for that because Sony also raised concerns about that. It just feels like we're hearing the one part of it, but not the rest of the context, which is also what we saw a lot in the first complaint, which has, she's been heavily criticized for the cherry picking of text messages and things. And to that point, there have been text messages that were very important in her first complaint that have been removed. So there's just a lot of questions I have with this. I think it's going to be interesting as days go on and we hear more rebuttals and, potentially more things being weighed in on. But I have so many questions now. I have more questions now than I had before. And I want to hear other people's perspectives on this now. Because I don't feel like Blake is a reliable narrator at this point.
Well, another case in point. The story of the edit of the film is not relevant to Miss Lively's claim of SH and retaliation. It's a red herring designed to distract the public away from the grave misconduct by the defendants. Talk about not taking accountability. She does this whole thing throughout using Justin's own words against him to make him seem like he's not man enough and he won't listen to women, and even though he says he will. And meanwhile, this is completely related. Her taking over the film and bringing in her own cast, firing his editors, firing the composer who's horrified that he was fired. Why? A fantastic professional composer on Justin's team's fired. And then they bring in this guy last minute. The composer they brought in last minute did an interview, Kim. This is all going to go in our documentary, which I hope you guys will support by going to our Patreon. But we found that video of the composer admitting he had 2 weeks to make the friggin' post. And even he's like, yeah, it was unheard of. I don't know why, what, and it was clearly a problem. But this guy admits they brought him in for 2 weeks to finish the whole score of the entire damn movie because Blake wanted something else rather than work with the guy, professional guy. So Blake did a ton of stuff. And that to me is the big story here as I read it, is she caused this drama by steamrolling over the film, blocking him from the promotion, pushing him away. And in doing so, created this animosity between the two where he feels threatened. He feels scared. Like, what's going on? He's unfollowed. Now the cast is all suddenly teaming with Blake instead of him. There was definitely a team up against him, and I can see why he needed to hire a crisis person. We also are told by TMZ that Blake's team was also leaking things. So there was clearly a reason for the crisis PR, but a lot of the text messages in here prove that they didn't want to do certain things. They were holding off on certain things. So this thing's a mess. It seems like Lively will not take responsibility for her part in this. And at the end of the day, might there have been too many hugs on set or inappropriate videos that shouldn't have been shown? Sure. Are those things uncomfortable and not right? Fine. Are they the level of sexual harassment and all this dragging everybody else in and destroying careers over? Heck no. It's ridiculous the way Blake spoke in text to Justin about the ball busting with teeth. It's like she can do it, but then he can't do it. You can't set up you're in a safe space and then speak to him in the way she spoke to him and then get all mad when he's like, oh, you look sexy. It doesn't make any damn sense. And even she tries to combat that. Well, she does a whole thing about what's sexy, Kim. It's ridiculous. Go ahead. You clearly have a thought.
I think the other thing that I find very difficult about this, and I think a lot of this is going to come down to legal definitions, and I'm not an expert in that, so I can't speak to that. But ultimately, the other complaints from the other cast members, they're not plaintiffs in this case. Blake is. Blake is the only plaintiff in this case. It is about what happened to her. And I have a lot of questions about what those events were. And I think until I hear witnesses other than her, I'm going to be suspicious and I'm going to withhold my judgment, because some of it is just, it sounds so far-fetched and so ridiculous at points. But at the same time, multiple things can be true. And that's why this process is what it is. We've got to get to the bottom of it. We've got to get the evidence. And I'm not seeing it in this filing.
Well, and it's also, correct me if I'm wrong, as we go, I was trying to find it quick. Like, just, she wants him to take accountability, to apologize. Like, he apologizes to her a million times. I'm opening his up. Like, there are so many versions of his apology. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Letters he's written and all this crap. I'm so sorry. I really didn't realize. Or no, that's Lively's. I'm trying to find them, but I can't find them as quick. But I'm sure, them. Kim, right? There are multiple versions where he says, I apologized when Ryan's yelling at him. He apologized when this happened. He was constantly trying to make good and apologize and work on it. And then they did. Once they finally readjusted the reshoots, apparently everything was fine. So I don't understand why she needed to then take over the film, push him out from promotion, remove him from the poster, remove all these things that she did. What did you expect to happen, Blake? Of course you rattled him, and now he's upset because he didn't agree with what you saw. It really was a he said, she said. You had disagreements, you didn't get along, fine. But then you kept pushing, taking control. He defends himself, and now it's retaliation. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. And then you go after not only him, his team, his billionaire friend who you keep trying to threaten and now make crazy accusations against. It's all absurd to me. It's so weird what she thought was going to happen here, but I think that goes against sort of her cluelessness in this level of A-list talent that they just don't understand that they can be wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know how many people are going to get more won over by this, with what Blake has claimed in this complaint. To me, it just shows over and over again how much we need more information and we need other people to go on the record, because it's bonkers. It's bonkers.
Yeah, it's indeed bonkers. So there it is. We've gone through a lot of it. We're going to continue tomorrow during our live. We'll finish the other 30, 40 pages, as well as a lot of new intel has been coming in while we've been reporting on this. The big news obviously being Brian's comments. But chat, as we've gone through, we're going to go through some of these still. You guys don't seem to be very impressed. And it's weird, Kim, because I just expected something at this point.
Yeah.
I expected something to justify all of this. And all I'll say is, seeing how this came down to the wire and seeing how unorganized it really was and not really impressive, I'm kind of shocked they went to Saturday Night Live. I don't think that's going to help them at all.
No.
It's going to come back to showing their well-being. And they claim in this document multiple times how distressed and how tough it is now. I'm calling BS. No, it doesn't seem that way. And I do think Justin's suffering more. While he may have some of the internet on his side, clearly studios aren't wanting to touch his projects. They're not letting him move forward in other works. That's going to completely hurt him. Look, nothing he's done in this to me warranted the shutdown that Blake's now done. She thinks the retaliation is all him, and I don't see any evidence of it. I don't see any evidence of it. In here, there's a lot of prepping. There's a lot of getting ready for it. There's a lot of stuff that seems fair in PR moves that I absolutely think Blake's team was doing as well. I don't always trust Harvey Levin, but when he wants to call out both sides, Kim, I think he's probably telling the truth.
When he's willing to be an expert witness, I'm gonna put some weight behind his words if he's ready to do that, especially when what we've seen before that TMZ is usually not super into doing that. So I think there are multiple sides to this story. I think multiple things can be true, and until we get way more information, I think it's too early to be able to tell, to be able to say the complete picture, because oh gosh, some of this is just absolutely brutal.
Comment from P. Mahone. I'm actually, as you guys feel, this person says angrier actually. Another 4 hours and no receipts can be found. That's what a lot of you are just saying. You're just very frustrated. You've been waiting for this concrete evidence that they've declared that they just don't have.
And even at that, the text messages that she's claiming, prove the retaliatory campaign and everything else. At this point, with that one footnote about Jones Works, now I'm wondering if she should be allowed to have them. So it's like, well, okay, what are we basing this on? Now I am confused.
Yeah, if you missed our first morning this morning, go check it out because, this is incredibly, what the hell? She's pretty much acknowledging maybe they were wrong. Maybe they were taken lawfully. I was told they were good, so we're good, right? Yikes. Yikes, Blake. Not a good look. This is not helping your case at all. Justin must be breathing massive sighs of relief because, again, I thought maybe they'd make shit up. I don't know, or drop something. This is nothing. Now, the headlines are still, other cast members have come forward, but she said that in the last complaint. She's provided no evidence, and those people are not willing to come forward. And I think it's Brian Friedman's right, and he's leaning into it. They will not come forward. And I think that's incredibly telling. Unnamed persons who are clearly no longer willing to come forward or publicly support her claims. That's damning. Now that could push them to do it.
They said they will testify. So there is
because
a
they
level
have
of
to
them
at that
forward.
point, right?
But clearly this is.
They don't want to be involved in this.
Yeah.
And I find it despicable that she's now resorting to drudging them up and make us imply who they are. And also she can not take responsibility for the way she's acted. And again, I said it before and I'll say it again. I genuinely think there's more to uncover about their friends and what they've said about them that's going to come out and really rock their worlds. They are not as innocent in this as they want to claim to be. And the reaction in Saturday Night Live and elsewhere has proven it. You guys need to be humbled. I think Justin got humbled. I think he probably is going to reevaluate a lot of stuff from this. He's learning it, and I do think he'll come back from it. But you two definitely needed to be humbled on this and stop thinking you can just take authorship and all the things you get to do, Blake. You are the epitome of privilege, and you absolutely have the power balance here, and you did. And honestly, I just think the public saw it and was fed up. That's really what happened here. No crisis PR person can do what happened. They can plan a couple things maybe, right, Kim? They could do a couple little things. And if they did, that'll get exposed. If they shared in truths, that'll get exposed. But if they just planted a few truths and the internet ran with it, that's not retaliation. That's just reality. Just a reminder, if you missed the full stream, click the comment down below. We'll have it there as soon as this is done processing. Make sure you've also hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for all alerts. Leave your comments down below when you get those alerts and smash the like. Why aren't you smashing the like? Go smash that like and stay tuned. We got a lot more coming for you. Part 2 will be here tomorrow, along with any other breaking news regarding this topic. So support where you can. Thanks, everybody.